Oh my gosh! Nintendo just announced a Star Fox Direct! I hope it's literally anything but another re-release of Star Fox 64.
This game is called Star Fox.
Star Fox is based on the Nintendo 64 game, Star Fox 64.
Oh no. Hey, I'm Seru. So Nintendo decided to do a surprise Nintendo Direct for a surprise new Star Fox announcement. And if you've been on the internet and following Nintendo news lately, you'd probably know that Nate the Hate, a reputable leaker in the space, leaked the fact that Nintendo is working on a new Star Fox that'll release in summer this year. And of course, I was super excited. If you guys watched my Mario Galaxy movie video, you would know that I'm a pretty big Star Fox nut. And just for a little bit of proof, because I know there's going to be some people that come into my comment section being like, oh, he's not even a real Star Fox fan, he's a Sonic fan coming out of nowhere. No, I'm actually a huge Star Fox fan. As a kid, me and my cousin would play on his Nintendo 64, taking turns on each of the levels. And around the time where I got my 3DS, I got Star Fox 64 3D and everything. And I kind of worked my way backwards, getting stuff like Adventures, Assault, and Command. And eventually I did get my own Nintendo 64 with the original Star Fox 64 on a cartridge. I am also a huge fan of Star Fox SNES, as well as Star Fox 2. I played the crap out of both of those. I think they're both awesome games. Oh yeah, and as one of the 10 Wii U owners, of course I got Star Fox Zero. And Star Fox Zero is actually my personal favorite Star Fox game, purely for gameplay reasons. While the controls are controversial in that game, I think once you master them, it easily becomes the most fun Star Fox game to play. There are so many cool expanded levels, there's so many new places, new boss fights. It combines elements of Star Fox SNES, Star Fox 2, and Star Fox 64 all into one like cohesive package, and I think it's very fun. But yeah, needless to say, I was very excited about the idea of a new Star Fox game coming out on Switch 2, so you can imagine my excitement when my buddy messaged me on Discord being like, hey, there's a Star Fox Direct, which I completely missed live, by the way. It was already done by the time I saw the message. So I was like, oh crap, that's awesome. I can't wait to watch this. So I go and I click on it and watch the whole Direct. I was kind of on the phone while I was doing it, so I didn't actually hear what Miyamoto and Koizumi were saying at the beginning. So the gameplay starts up and I'm like, oh, this looks like classic style Star Fox. That's awesome. And it didn't immediately click in my head that it was Corneria from Star Fox 64. But then they did say, I think Koizumi said something along the lines of, all the level design is from the original, but we've updated the graphics significantly and stuff like that. And I was like, oh, okay. It's Star Fox 64 again, isn't it? And that was big disappointment number one with this. It's like, I love Star Fox 64, man. I do. I love that game to death. I love the Star Fox series to death. But man, I did not want to play Star Fox 64 again in 2026. I mean, I would play Star Fox 64 again in 2026, but I can already do that playing on my Nintendo 64 copy, my 3DS copy, or the PC port made by fans, which I just downloaded on my computer a couple weeks ago because I was excited about a new Star Fox game. So yeah, just like right out the gate, I am just really not looking forward to another Star Fox 64 re-release. /remaster/remake. We quite literally have the 3 R's, like it's reduce, reuse, recycle for video games. We got a remaster, we got a remake, we got a reimagining. Anyways, I'm rambling. I need to get my thoughts out more cohesively. So Star Fox, which is the name of the game, is a full-blown modern remake of Star Fox 64. Which is a little bit different than what we got on the 3DS, which was more of a remaster with updated graphics. So yes, technically we have never seen a remake of Star Fox 64 before, so I guess there's some merit to doing it. And talking about visuals, I think the game looks pretty dang nice. It's about what I'd expect of a PS4 era Star Fox game, essentially. Environments are nice and pretty. They got very high quality textures, models, everything going on. I'm not sure how I feel about the R-Wing designs, and we'll talk about the character designs like I said later, but I think in terms of environments, particle effects, all that kind of stuff, the game looks very nice, and it's Star Fox 64, so I'm sure it plays perfectly fine. But in terms of additions for this remake, it seems like they're expanding the story quite a bit because they're adding all these cutscenes in between the levels. And I think that's really cool. It's been a long time since we've gotten to see the Star Fox cast just kind of hanging out and talking to each other and you know, planning missions and stuff. It's like, it kind of reminds me of Star Fox Assault in that way. It also kind of reminds me of like the opening and ending of Star Fox Adventures, where they're just kind of hanging around on the ship. So I do like that, and they're also, again, expanding on what James McCloud did on his final mission and how he died and everything as a prologue to the game. So I think that's pretty cool. It kind of gives the game more of a cinematic Star Wars-y feel with how the cinematics play out, and I think that's fitting for this game. I think Star Fox 64 kind of gives the vibes of like an old 80s space action movie. So I think this is very fitting, and I actually really like this addition to the game. And I'm also sure they're going to have this grand orchestral soundtrack for the game. I'm very excited to hear that because I love all the Star Fox music, and I would love to hear it in this grand way, even though we kind of already have in the past, but you know what I'm saying. And they're adding a bunch of extra modes, like they're adding a difficulty select, they're adding a challenge mode, they're adding like online Marvel Rivals / Overwatch kind of multiplayer where you're capturing zones or doing random different objectives to try and get points and stuff. So I think that's all really, really cool. I do think that they could have had all that stuff in a new Star Fox game that played like Star Fox 64. So at the very least, we would get like new levels and bosses and story content and whatever else. But like, for what it is, I am excited for the new stuff that they're adding to this game. I think the added cinematics are going to add a lot. And I think multiplayer modes of any kind in a Star Fox game are always welcome. They're always really fun. So in terms of changes to the gameplay, it doesn't seem like they've added that much. They have added mouse support, so you can turn the Joy-Con on its side and it'll switch to your first person mode so you can kind of aim more freely. Which reminds me of something. That kind of reminds me of Star Fox Zero. And it made me think to myself, man, they could have just ported Star Fox Zero to Switch, or Switch 2 at the very least, and just made the gyro tied to like the mouse input or something, where you have to turn the Joy-Con on its side to activate the mouse and then do all that stuff. They even have like the split like pilot and shooter multiplayer from Star Fox Zero, where one person controls the ship and the other person controls the shooting and aiming and stuff. But this time it's with the mouse. So a lot of the additions to this made me really want a Switch 2 port of Star Fox Zero. And honestly, I probably would have been a little bit happier with that because, well, Star Fox Zero is pretty much like a big reimagining and expansion of Star Fox 64. Like, it adds elements of Star Fox SNES and Star Fox 2, but the core of it is Star Fox 64, just with massively expanded level designs, new kinds of vehicles, new missions, new worlds entirely, new bosses, everything. And it does expand the story content a little bit. So overall, it kind of feels like Star Fox for Switch 2 is a bit of a step back in terms of gameplay for Star Fox, because while obviously it is a step back because it's remaking Star Fox 64, we've already had like a big reimagined expansion of Star Fox 64 with Star Fox Zero. And I know most people didn't play that game because it's a Wii U game, but regardless, for me, it just makes this kind of feel like really redundant, and also like we're de-evolving the series even further. So from that perspective, I hope you can understand why I'm so disappointed with this. But also, we gotta talk about the big elephant in the room. The second reason why I'm really disappointed in this is the character designs. For some reason, Nintendo thought it'd be a really good idea to make all the characters look like really, really hyper realistic. Like, Fox is no longer like this pseudo anime looking cartoon space fox, and is more so now just a real literal fox wearing clothes. And that goes for all of the other characters too. And it's a little inconsistent too, because like Peppy, other than like his feet and the added fur detail, pretty much just looks like Peppy from Star Fox 64, Star Fox Zero, and wherever else he is. And then Slippy gets this updated like hyper-realistic frog look, but then his body is still like classic Star Fox styled because he's got the like humanoid boots. Like, the new designs aren't even really consistent with themselves, and I don't think really any of them look good. And I know the argument people are going with is, oh, they wanted to make it look more like the SNES puppets, but I completely disagree. I don't think they look like the puppets at all. I think maybe that's what they were going for, but then they went way too far in the realism details, because at the very least, the puppets still have like the more humanoid feet and boots. And the boots are like an iconic part of the character design for these characters. So it really confuses me why they went in this direction. A lot of the like pre-rendered artwork you've seen of the character designs, I do think looks a little bit better. It makes them look a little more appealing because, you know, they've got like expressions on and dynamic posing going on. But like in game, everyone kind of has this deadpan looking face. Everyone is kind of just slouching all of the time. Like they all look like they have gamer posture. And they're all like super mocapped. And there's nothing wrong with using mocap in games, but like these guys straight up look like they're just VTuber models, which they kind of are. I just don't understand why all of the characters look like they're just dying inside in these cutscenes. Like they're flapping their arms all around, moving around, doing all these different movements and stuff, but they have the same expression on the entire time. Slippy's the only one smiling, and it feels like that's his default expression. Oh my gosh, and don't even get me started on Falco. Falco, I think, got hit with this the worst. He's got like a decent looking render on the website like I was talking about, but man, look at him in game. His beak is just all wrong. Like, why did they give him the real bird legs? His face in general is just completely bad looking to me. Like, his beak is like really big on the bottom, but like kind of smaller on the top. Or I guess it's more like they're equal sizes versus before where Falco had a really big upper beak and a smaller lower beak. He doesn't have like his sharper eyes anymore. They're just kind of like human looking realistic eyes. I don't know, just looking at these designs, they feel so uncanny. They really give me the like bad movie Sonic vibes. I don't think they're quite as bad. I feel like, you know, the fact that they're moving around the way that they are and stuff gives them a little bit more life, but man, they do not look good to me. And it really kind of just loses a lot of the appeal of these characters for me, because I love the Star Fox cast. I love their character designs. I love their characters in general. Like, and unlike the Donkey Kong redesign, which kind of feels more like a thoughtful reinterpretation of the iconic design, this just kind of feels like them trying to make the characters feel as realistic as possible. And I just don't understand why they would want that for Star Fox of all things. It does kind of help sell better the like 80s sci-fi movie vibes that I was talking about earlier, but just because it helps sell that vibe, I don't think means that that is a good choice to make. I don't know, man. I don't know why they thought this was a good idea. There are a lot of people coming out in support of these designs, but a lot of those people are saying that they look like the puppets, and I just completely disagree. If they did actually look like the puppets, I would be all on board for it. But as it stands, these are just like hyper realistic looking versions of the characters that hardly even resemble their original characters. Like genuinely, the only reason Fox looks like Fox is because he has those white eyebrows and the white stripe and the jacket, and that's it. Nothing else resembles Fox. And the same goes for Falco and everybody else. The only reason you can tell it's Falco is because he has those red spots on his face and he's blue and he's got the jacket on. It kind of reminds me of that like DLSS 5 thing where they just use AI to upscale an image, where it adds just completely unnecessary details all over the place. That's just what this feels like to me. The Star Fox crew does not need to look hyper realistic. And like, I don't want to call out anybody for being fake fans of the series or just kind of having an opinion because it's a new Nintendo thing or whatever, but man, they do not look like the puppets. I don't know what anybody's talking about with that. And yeah, that's basically my thoughts. I think I've talked about this enough. I think there is stuff to be excited about. It's a new Star Fox product. There's a lot of new modes, everything like that. The story content that's getting added and everything all looks great. But the fact that it's Star Fox 64 again, and the fact that it has worse character designs, saying I'm disappointed is a massive, massive understatement. And I don't feel like I'm asking for much. I'm just asking for a new Star Fox game that plays like Star Fox 64, but has an entirely new story and characters and levels and bosses and missions and everything like that. But Miyamoto just can't let go of Star Fox 64. I don't understand it. But yeah, that's my thoughts on the Star Fox 64 remake for Switch 2. I might make another video about it when it comes out in a month, just to give like my full thoughts, as this is more of just a first impressions, first gut reaction kind of thing. So we'll see if my thoughts change at all by the time the game comes out. And yeah, that's basically it. Thanks for watching. The Sonic 2 video is still coming. It'll be very soon. And I hope you guys can set yourself free. See ya!